This episode of the Upper 90 Club is brought to you, as always, by Supporter Supply Company. Hi, friends, this is your good pal Morgan Hughes, here to talk to you about a serious issue facing 96% of all crew supporters in Columbus. Why, not enough free shipping, of course. For a limited time now, through the eventual heat death of the universe, Upper 90 Club listeners can use the promo code Upper90Boys. That's boys with a Z on the end of it, at checkout for free delivery on absolutely any order over $10. But Morgan, what if I order $10 worth of stickers, or those goddamned buttons, or some other combination of small items that make you want to kill yourself? Will the free shipping still apply then, even as you curse our family, while you package up our little tiny annoying ass order for us? Of course it will. That's just how much we here at Supporter Supply value our friends at the Upper 90 Club. So head on over to supportersupply.co and use the promo code Upper90Boys. That's boys with a Z at checkout for free shipping on all your orders over $10. And don't forget to tell them that your friends at the Upper 90 Club sent ya.
So far, the crew has cleared every hurdle naysayers have placed in their way. Columbus would be home to one of the 10 inaugural teams. Columbus has outperformed much larger cities. The true success indicator has been from the fans.
Well, it's boys night out.
Hello and welcome to the club. I'm not your host, Mars. I'm Tip of the Hat! And this is the Upper 90 Club, a show with hot questions and even hotter wings. I always just do that. Did you guys hear that last episode when I said that? It's like the first thing. Well, I don't know what Mars says. What does he say?
I don't know. I don't really listen.
Round table.
Oh,
Friends, five friends.
We are a square table. We're four friends today. Talk about the Columbus Crew. Yeah. It's been a while, guys. It's been what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, roughly.
Whole weeks.
Needed a little break.
Yeah, we actually needed a massive break.
Crying in my pillow.
Yeah.
Still.
But yeah, thanks to Ryan Bailey for coming on many moons ago. I hit him up. He's going to come back on and maybe do like an update, maybe about Wimbledon. He also is I don't know if he still works for the Charlotte team. So it'd be interesting to see like what he thought about the Charlotte season and all the sketchy stuff that happened toward the last game. I don't know if anybody followed any of that. All right, 2-week catch up. We all got back together and played soccer. That was the first time in like 6 months or more. It felt good. I feel good.
I feel horrible.
Yeah, I feel pretty
How do you
bad.
feel horrible?
Well,
I wake up and it hurt.
Yeah, my
like
body
everywhere. Like my back hurts and my toes.
Haas got murdered. Haas lost a leg.
You did.
I might start wearing shin guards.
No. Actually, yeah, no, that actually is a totally...
It would have prevented the whole thing if I had shin guards on.
Yeah, but I mean, for indoor, most people aren't wearing cleats.
Hey, guys. We were trying way too hard in that game, as I got told. You know, we shouldn't be playing so hard.
What's weird is
20 years younger than us.
Yeah, no kidding. I had fun. It
They
was
said
fun.
that?
Well, yeah, they were. What's weird is like everybody that
Hold on.
the
The person that said that to me wasn't actually speaking to me because she said it out loud 2 feet from my face and said, "I'm not sure why you guys keep trying so hard." And I said, "Excuse me?" And she said, "Oh, I wasn't talking to you." So I said, "Oh yeah, me neither." So,
well, she's a schizophrenic, and this is
I guess.
schizophrenic.
Freniac?
Come on. Did I say that wrong? It's a Freniac. What I'm trying to say is we're back together, and it feels so good. I don't even think I've seen you guys in public in 2 weeks, or even longer than that, man. It's been a whole thing, but we missed all sorts of stuff. We're gonna catch up on kind of the MLS playoffs. Even we finally figured, it took us 20 minutes, but we figured out how to log into the MLS website after resetting our password and giving blood. And we're going to see where we're at with that. We're going to talk about an early departure. Possible. I probably won't get too much into roster stuff depending on time. Congratulations to some others and what's going on. We'll probably touch on a couple of the articles that came out post season, including Matt Doyle's and Briana McKay's with Issa Tall. Shout out Matt Doyle. I reached out to him, and he's going to hop on next month with us and kind of go over. I don't know what exactly we're going to talk or discuss, but got some catching up to do with him as he is one of the main writers for everybody. I'm assuming
as we have talked about, we have big plans for the offseason because there is actually an offseason this year.
Yeah.
But we'll see how many of our ambitions come to fruition, right?
Yeah, we took a mental health week last week, but yeah, give Wimbledon a shot. They're doing well this season. I think they're 1 or 2 points off being promoted, so they're doing well. But yeah, just, I don't know, open up FOTMob, hit follow. It'll tell you how they're doing, that type of stuff.
And if you missed it, listen to the last episode. Because
yeah, it's great. That story is crazy.
Yeah,
like the Save the Crew stuff is bananas, but like that story specifically is terrible. Oh, I didn't even introduce everybody. We got Haas, Mort, and Trey. Everybody say wobble gooses.
Wobble gooses?
Wobble geese.
Gooses?
What?
Wobble gooses.
What is that?
Wobble gooses?
Yeah. What is that a thing?
Wobble,
I don't know. I had a small stroke.
Drunk goose.
Okay.
I just wanted to hear you guys say wobble gooses.
All right.
Hey,
All right.
Dad's out of town. It's past 10 p.m. We can say whatever the hell we want. This is the ghost tour.
H word.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no cards. There's no refereeing here today.
Well, I don't. Yeah, and we talked also about like we're not going to touch on the U.S. men's national team this time. I mean, I think we will probably get into the U.S. men's national team closer to the actual World Cup. So we're not going to review the Jamaica stuff or anything like that.
You
but
like to say touch on a lot, but it's just something I noticed.
We're going to
Keep
caress
going.
it into the
I'm going to touch
conversation.
on. I'm going to touch off. We're going to wax on. We're going to wax off.
Yep.
But
We're going to
there
jack
was a
on.
game
We're gonna
today.
jack-
Okay.
Go ahead.
Cart.
Okay, I got to write that down. I got to write this stuff down. All right, so Mort, you were at the Ohio State game today.
Yeah, start for some soccer, and I watched them play Washington on TV, and I found out, oh, wow, they're going to host a game here, and, it doesn't cost anything to go in. So that's a nice change for, that I freed up, even though I have freed up some money, not having to go to any more crew games apparently this year. But yeah, we went, and so did a lot of people. The stadium was not ready for it at all. There was over 8,000 people there, and they ran out of food within like 5 minutes. You can only buy water at the concessions.
Seriously?
Yeah. They had you noticed that when you were driving in there, that they were like, yeah, they weren't ready for this. And I had a feeling because people like to go and see a game, and the Buckeyes haven't been good for a long time, and they're the number 1 seed hosting the Big Ten playoff final here against Michigan. So of course there's going to be a lot of people.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Well, not only the number 1 seed in the tournament, I believe number 1 team in the country now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
So that's
think
awesome.
7th in
And
the
they pulled off a 1-0 win. So yeah, I'm wearing my Buckeye t-shirt today to change.
That goal
from
was
my-
sick.
The goal was great.
Oh yeah. And by the way, what's the name of that number 17?
Number 17.
He
I didn't
is
write it down.
Unbelievable.
I watched him the game before, and I think he got a goal in that game.
I think it was like Big Ten Player of the Year or Midfielder
Yeah.
of the Year or Attacker, something like that. But we'll look it up. But definitely a future draft. And then other good news, you talk about what I've been doing. Of course, Norway. So I'm wearing a Norway scarf because they won their Group B in the Nations League. They're very important, tournament. So they're going to go up and play with the big boys next year. So
this stuff is World Cup related, right?
yeah, so the nice thing about winning, in your group in Nations League is that gives you an additional chance when World Cup qualifiers are starting. So if you don't qualify directly by winning your group, you actually had a playoff chance to get in. So it's kind of a second chance as well.
They weren't at the last World Cup, right?
We haven't been at a World Cup or any tournament since 2020. It was European Championship in 2000. Sorry. So most of the players, because it's a very young team on that team, wasn't even born last time Norway was playing a major tournament. So it's an extremely exciting team right now. Like we got Nusa from Leipzig, we got Sørloth. There's the second leading scorer in La Liga last year. This guy called Holland and Oscar Bob and Ødegaard, and And from there on, it's really bad going backwards. But it's fun going forward.
Oscar Bob. Tell me more about Oscar Bob.
Not Oscar Bob. Did I say Oscar Bob?
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
All right.
Well,
Oh,
what's
this is-
his actual name?
Now you put him
It
on
is
the spot.
Oscar
I have
Bob.
Isn't it Oscar
It's
Bob?
Oscar Bob, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
pretty
Oscar
sure there
Bob.
wasn't.
He got
He's
injured.
the
early in
City
the
player.
year.
He got injured in preseason for
Yeah.
City. He's
I don't. Yeah, I
very-
just.
And if,
That's
and if
awesome.
you Google Oscar Bob, it is not what you probably think he will look like. So go ahead.
What does that mean? I'm
It's-
gonna.
It sounds like a very 30-year-old Norwegian man. It's like his name's Oscar, like Oscar Bob.
Gas station attendant.
No, not even gas station attendant.
Lives in a trash can.
I feel
Bald
really
head,
easily
glasses,
manipulated.
very
You made out
Norwegian.
that his name was Oscar. That annoys me.
Oscar.
Yeah. So
Is
that's
there,
what
like,
I've
an
been up
umlaut
to.
in there or
So
something?
since we don't have the crew, I go on the bandwagon with anybody else doing all right. So that's
Yeah, I think
That's
we're
always fun.
full on Ohio State at this point. And if rumors are to be true, that collegiate stuff is going to be taking off here in like a year or two. Switching and getting more. I did not realize. We talked about it last episode, I think. Last
we
proper
talked with
episode.
Duncan a little bit about.
Yeah, I didn't realize the season was so short and truncated, and you play like multiple games in a week. So it's like, yeah, if you get injured and you're out a month, that's like your season.
Yep.
It's crazy. Yeah, I just think it'd be great to be able to like watch like Ohio State soccer. Like I watch Ohio State football. It'd be cool.
I didn't realize the subbing in how subbing worked in college, and I still don't understand it because I was watching with no volume. But
I'm pretty sure this is the gist of it. You can sub out in the first half and then come back in the second half. But when you sub out in the second half, you can come back in again. At
Got
least that's how it was when I played, and that's
Like 3.5 or
100 years
something
ago.
like that.
There's I don't know how many subs you have. I think it's almost unlimited. It seems like.
Yeah, I noticed that I was watching 2 games ago, the Ohio State game, and there was a bunch of subs. And I was
no way
like,
to know.
"What is
No way to
happening?"
know.
Yeah, don't
Nope.
Google it. I don't even remember what it was back when I was playing like high school and stuff like that. I can't remember. I think it was like that. You could sub off first half and come back in second half.
Anyways, good job, Buckeyes.
Yeah,
Keeping the soccer town alive.
yeah. Great jerseys too. If you get a shot
I
to
kind
like,
of like him.
I liked them. The Michigan ones were just all white. They're just white. They're what we wear for our team. We just wear like all white shirts. It's like, I don't
White
even know if
t-shirt.
it had like an M on it.
Oh.
That's a silly place. All right. Well, let's get into some of the Columbus Crew stuff. Let's start with the playoffs because we didn't get a chance to talk about any of the playoff stuff. We'll start with actually a Cirque stat.
This is Steve Cirque, and this is a Cirque stat.
Any of 3 of Miami, Columbus, and Cincinnati would have seen their biggest hurdles cleared if they could have gotten past like a 3-game series with home field advantage against much lower seeds. What a crazy and improbable triple flameout. And what he's referencing is number 1 seed Miami, number 2 seed Columbus, and number 3 seed FC Cincinnati, all being bounced in the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs.
Also, what a crazy and improbable way to start a sentence.
Yeah.
Makes it tough to read. That's for sure.
Any of 3 of.
Honestly,
made me
reading's tough.
feel much better about the Crew getting bounced in 2 games, having
Yes.
Yeah.
Miami and Cincinnati also get bounced.
It definitely
The
softened the blow.
Germans called it Schadenfreude, or whatever they call it, where you take enjoyment out of somebody else's misery in a way. And yeah, definitely that did help a little bit.
Yeah, there was 4 days where everyone talked about the Crew, and then it was just like we don't exist anymore.
Yep.
Like as soon as Miami lost, they're just like, oh well, now this is the biggest upset
Playoffs
of all
canceled.
time.
So
That's the first thing I thought. I just pictured Garber going, I don't know, we'll just give it to one of the LAs. Let them split it.
Should the MLS look at how this is done then? Or, is this just a playoff thing?
Man, oh yeah, I did write this down. So we lost, and that sucks. The reason why, first of all,
We didn't
America,
score as many
and
goals.
we love the playoff system. I still love it. I think March Madness is like one of the best things in the world when it comes to like a sports playoff system. I think they talked about the EPL and just European soccer in general, where they're like, yeah, if they had to do it over again today, they would adopt that model or a model similar to the MLS as far as like a playoff goes. And I think there's still ongoing talks about that. I mean, I definitely was invested in all these games. I watched them all. I actually kind of like the fact that there is a play into the tournament, the wild card or
That was
whatever.
added,
I mean, they do
like a
that.
handful of years ago.
Yeah, they do it in football. They do it in NCAA, March Madness. It's always like,
but it is
McDonald's.
it is kind of ridiculous. You're looking at Miami and Atlanta. They
Right.
had almost twice as many points as them in the regular season. So in a way, yes, you get home field advantage, but really, that team doesn't deserve. I mean, I love the fact that they won. Don't get me wrong, but they don't deserve to be in the playoff and beating a champion that had like twice as many points than they did. In the season.
Guzan won that game for them.
Yeah, that's true. Guzan won that.
I mean, they got 3 games.
Can somebody jog my memory in terms of like when we used to do the home and away, how that worked in terms of ties and scoring? Because I can't remember. Because instead of like going to PKs, we would actually have ties, and then you would do the home and away goals.
Goal
and that would matter.
differential.
And I
Right.
felt like it was multiple rounds of home and away. It wasn't
Yes.
a best of 3 either.
Right.
Oh, I think
And-
that was the argument. It was like, do you play home first or home second if you're doing goal differential? Because it's more beneficial to be at home knowing what you got to do.
Right.
That the higher
Maybe.
seed got the
So-
second game at home. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it multiple times. Is that I want the supporter shield to actually mean something, but when you have an unbalanced schedule where everybody's not playing each other, it doesn't. You can't really call that the main trophy.
Yeah.
But I think when you have your top 3 teams in one conference all getting bounced in the first round, you do need to look at something because that shouldn't happen.
It is interesting. You don't get very much of a benefit. You get home field advantage, but that's pretty much the only benefit you get from being one of the top teams.
Right.
You don't skip around, really.
You
other
also
than that
play, in theory, one of the worst teams.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but I don't think it's broken. I think it's just a conversation that is.
I feel like
I don't
the
know.
number 1 team in East and the number 1 team in West should almost like skip the first round
Get
altogether.
a bye.
Yeah.
I just don't like the inconsistency with the format. One round being best
Oh, yeah,
of
so
3,
yes.
the
Oh,
next
yeah.
round
Well, it
being
just
single
allows
elimination, international break in the middle of it. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
figure
a whole
something
different
out
thing.
to where it's all like, you think any casual is going to remember that the MLS Cup playoffs are even happening right now?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy right now. I think maybe that'll get solved when we go to the, what is it, like
That is
winter
one
and
of the
spring or
big.
whatever. Yeah.
It's one of the big
If that
biggest
happens.
driver because they don't put a window in there just because of Europe getting into the final part of their season. So they have an international window after kind of the season is over for most leagues. So it doesn't interfere with like the end of the season. So what we would do in here would be we start the playoff in April or I guess May or something going into June or something like that. I don't know, and they'll be done before like summer.
Yeah, I mean the first round is specifically that anybody who makes the playoffs gets a home game and gives the fans something, which I like. And honestly,
Revenue, money.
if I'm looking at Miami and us and everybody, it's like we should be able to take care of business, being as good as we are, in 3 games with 2 home games. Like it's kind of inexcusable for the Crew to lose twice in a row,
Yes.
and then especially for like Miami playing Atlanta. You gotta do better. I mean, I watched the game; it wasn't a fluke.
Let me throw this out, and I know it's not on the dock and probably screwing everything up, but what if we did a NASCAR style playoff?
They drive cars,
Yeah, all over the field. It's freaking amazing.
In circles?
100% in.
Only left.
Back and to the left.
No, you take the top 5 from the East, top 5 from the West, and you play. Everybody plays each other in the final games of the season. And then
I don't know anything about NASCAR. I'm going to
the
be
person with
Same.
the highest point total after you play those other 9 teams or 8 teams or whatever you decide, then becomes the champion.
So every game matters.
Is that more like a little bit more of a Mexican style?
No, I mean the Mexican teams they do the whole entire league. Like you're not playing a home and away. You're only playing at the higher seeds place. So you could even do 8 teams or 6 teams. But
is there like a knockout round?
No knockout.
Okay.
It's just point total. So whoever has the highest point total from those games that you would play would then be crowned the champion. It'd be like having a mini supporter shield race.
I don't hate the idea.
You
I
know?
mean,
clearly logistics.
I definitely don't hate it.
Would need to be worked out. We talked about this before. Is if you ever got to 40 teams in MLS, the first part of the season you're playing conference, and out of that conference you take 20 teams into the spring season, and then you do a supporter shield style. Everybody plays each other, and the champion is the champion.
Yeah.
Instead of this knockout playoff system type thing, which I don't hate. I'm just
no, yeah. This is wild.
Mhm.
Like Miami losing. I mean, Columbus losing, sure, but Miami losing is hilarious. I mean, it's crazy. Like they invested all this money. They're like, "Yo, Messi, you can even have part of literally MLS," and he's like, "And I'm out the first round."
I believe the Swiss league, Trey, has something like this where they take the top teams and they have like almost like a playoff within the top team, or like a new league within the top teams, and then they have a relegation round with the worst teams when they play all each other again.
Right.
I think it would be. I mean, for me, I would really like to have the supporter shield mean more. And in order to do that, we probably need to have like less teams in pro rel. And then all of a sudden, the supporter shield means
you
more.
need more teams to create a pro rel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would combine like Rhode Island, I think, and like all those teams. I only bring up Rhode Island because shout out to Capybaras. I think 2 of them were on the team.
Yeah, Fuson and I forget who the other guy is.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it would be cool to do that and then have like a tournament for the actual winners, and then also have like a tournament for people that are going down, like fight to stay up, and vice versa for the lower leagues, kind of like how the championship has. The first 1 go or 2 go, 1 go, and then 2 go, and then they play
hot 2. No,
yeah, hot to go. Yeah, the first hot to go, and then the bottoms are not to go.
You have to fight for your right as you're trying to get out.
We are only doing this for the rest of the pod. You got to do it all for the nookie. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
I'm sorry. The nookie?
The nookie.
Yeah.
All right. So you can take a cookie. All right. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think the playoff stuff's pretty cool. So let's just go to the brackets really fast while we're doing that. Everyone lost the brackets. No, there are no winners. The person leading the bracket right now, you say it.
It's me. It's me.
I know.
You know it.
It's me.
Who doesn't like the crew? Martin.
His name is me.
You know it. You love it. Whatever it's Moreno always says, but it's me. It's mostly because I got the West right, and then I had City beating Cincinnati.
Yeah, I had City beating Cincinnati
That's
too.
pretty much like the difference between me and everybody else, I think.
Right.
But Mort can't win prizes, so we'll continue to see how the points total up.
Seems unfair.
We'll see. I mean, LAFC only beat Vancouver by 1. I don't know. I'm a sucker for these knockout rounds and stuff like that. I like them.
Who do you guys cheer for now? This is a good question, actually. We didn't plan this, but who would you like to see lift the trophy of all the teams that remains?
Let's go around the horn. I'm going last. Haas.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
I mean, when my team's not in the race, I always like a good underdog story. So I'm probably rooting for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I have to go with you. If it would be fun to see Will Trapp, I guess. Get a trophy.
Exactly.
no way they're getting past LA. Trey, what do you think?
Really? Minnesota?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Atlanta. I can get behind Tommy and that crew down there. Coming in as ninth seed, the true underdogs.
Yeah.
Possibly beating Orlando this round, and then taking care of any New York team is always a plus. And then if they meet a LA team in the final, that'd be even better. So I'm going Atlanta.
Yeah, I like that. Those are probably the two.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with Atlanta just because of Tommy.
Can we say not LA and not New York? And then
So here's the thing.
Both New Yorks?
both New Yorks.
Actually have a soft spot for the Galaxy.
Ricky Puig.
Because LAFC came in and it's been like all that everybody talks about, and they have quietly had an amazing season.
Yes, and
And
they
brought
play
in-
entertaining. They play entertaining soccer.
And they did kind of what we did with Kucha, where they snabbed these guys who were like legit awesome, like Paintsel and Gabriel Peck, who were not like washed up people. I mean, like LAFC grabs a bunch of washed up, Miami does. Like LA's paying, or Galaxy are paying for good people in their prime. And it's like, cool, this is like they kind of get it. Like this
Ricky
is what you have to do to like
huge
win.
pickup, and he's a young player.
Yeah. You forget
And
how
Trey
young
loves the
how
way
young
he
is.
wears his shirt tucked and his shorts up to his belly button.
He does a different dance when he scores. He's an innovator. He's like what's his name? Logan Paul. He's a real Logan Paul of the MLS.
Fights old people.
I didn't even put that on the doc.
Why?
Because
Do
if
you
we
guys-
say his name, we get it put in an algorithm and we get a free Burger King sandwich or something.
Or maybe like a title fight.
Yeah.
Or
So
fighting
you
every
actually,
I'm gonna play Pele next week. Oh, he's dead. Oh, I'm still gonna play him.
Pele.
I still can't get behind the Galaxy thing. This is absolutely ridiculous. They're probably they're definitely not my most hated club, but they're the most successful club in MLS.
They were the original Miami.
And then we're talking about them like there's some underdog story of like, no, they've just completely screwed
They're the Mike
themselves the last
Tyson
8
of the
years.
MLS.
They finally got rid of their GM, and they bring somebody in. They brought Greg Vanny in from Toronto. They brought somebody else in to run the front office, and they're actually successful. So
from the crew, didn't they?
That's LAFC.
he did.
LAFC. Okay, that was LAFC.
Well, no, yeah, no. It was, I can't remember what the guy's name was that they fired, but it was the one with like, I believe he had like a bunch of sexual harassment allegations and stuff against him, allegedly.
Checks out.
Allegedly.
But you're talking about Galaxy, who has 5 championships. I mean, it's like being sympathetic towards the Yankees because they haven't been good in 10 years.
I wasn't
Like,
sympathetic.
they have the
I'm
most money.
saying
They just spend it poorly.
They play good ball right now. So
Yeah, I think I don't know. I just think they've kind of
10 players on their team are fun to watch. The other one, just
the real turd Ferguson. Is a real
honestly,
Van Zier of a guy.
if you don't have to listen to him to his press conferences, then he's not nearly as bad. But
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. All right, let's.
Part of me wants Red Bull New York just because they beat us too. That's like the classic route for the team that takes you out to prove that they're good.
I don't give a crap.
yeah,
about that team. Unless they switch, I think if they were like, if you told me that they would change their name back to they would change their name to the New Jersey Metro Stars, I would root for them. But not right now. Not like this. All right.
Leeds is next.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some actual crew stuff. I just wanted to catch up on all that on the playoffs. So, let's take a moment and talk about Matan. We got word through all of his. I mean, no other roster. We haven't heard it. I haven't heard any other roster grumblings. Mostly, about who's going, who's staying, that whole thing. But literally, it was like as soon as he missed that PK, which is a kind of a bummer because that's the last thing he did for the Crew, was give a chip shot to the keeper to lose. Anyways,
0-for-2, I think.
Yeah, not great. But he went on all the socials, was like, hey, it's been great, but I'm out. And I haven't heard anybody buying him or anything like that. I mean, I knew we had talked about it. They just weren't going to renew. I think it was written in the stars.
I don't think he even did it. I think his wife put it on the socials.
Oh boy, I unfollowed
Behind his
her
back.
while taking a poop today. Yeah, I was like, she pulled up and she was like, I miss you, Columbus, and I was like, yeah, I don't see you. Yeah, it just doesn't appear that
it's first of all, this is not a shock.
no.
I mean,
No.
we all talked about this earlier that for the right price, we would love to keep Matan.
Right.
I don't think he's now on the budget for the right price, and we brought in at least one player, and maybe possibly two, to really replace him, and we didn't extend his contract. So I mean, I think this was a long time coming. He's been great. He's been a fan favorite. He's been an underdog, mostly because he's like under the average
Dogs.
height.
Yeah.
He's under the size of a dog, making him the underdog.
Yeah.
Literally the underdog.
So, but yeah, I'll miss him. I will have really fun memories of him. The fact that we can go back to the whole story about him. He's still only 25 years old. That's the crazy thing. He played for us. He came to us, I believe, back in
March of 2021.
March in 2021. He was still a youngster. He played the U21 Euros for Romania. And then he actually in 2022 even played games in MLS Next Pro. Did you know that?
Yeah, Crew 2.
Yeah, he played for Crew 2. But then he was obviously also sent away. He was written off. We didn't know that he existed, and then suddenly showed up on the first match day with Nancy. We were like, we didn't know he was with the club. I mean, I would say last year, to talk about comeback player of the year, I mean, Matan could probably almost be on that list, even though he didn't play as much of a part maybe last year as he did this year in many ways. But
yeah, I think we talked about that. They used to have a party in the year, and they would give out team awards and stuff like that. They don't do that anymore, but
boring.
There's some fond memories of that. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to Romania. That's where he was before. It is a nice arc where he was, at Columbus. We kind of liked him. 2021, he got sent away by Porter, and then into the season this year, he got his hat trick back against Porter, which is kind of like bookending his career at Columbus, which was phenomenal.
I mean, what is his career this year? 40 games, 5 goals, 6 assists. Last year, 40 games, 3 goals, 9 assists.
Well, he had 5 goals this year. Is that what it was? But he had 3 in one game.
Yeah, that's
not hating. I mean, just
it's a fact, and it's
just stating facts, not trying to hate.
No, he wants more money, and the Crew weren't going to give it to him, so he just went ahead and moved on, which is fine. I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm not entirely convinced. Like, was he better up top in that front three? He was slotted in the middle, as that double pivot or like an 8 or 6 or whatever. Like, I think the frustrating part about Matan is that he is extremely talented. The main issue was it's just hard to find a place for him.
He played 121 games for Columbus Crew. He was kind of you can say like he was underdog. He came in very young. We give him that in the start. He played quite a bit and didn't really produce in the first year.
Was he the under 22 initiative? Was that around in 2021? Because he was one. Yeah.
But in 121, he's an offensive midfielder or like winger attacker / he scored 8 goals. He had all in all here 18 assists in 4 seasons, really. Like I would call it 2.5 to 3 seasons because of who was the coach and whatever. But
yeah, I mean it's just I think he is what, 3-year, 10-year.
But he scored a
player.
couple of big game goals. I think that's a
Yeah.
part of it too.
Yeah,
And
was
drew,
it
drew
Leagues
some
Cup?
big. He drew some. Yeah, and he drew some big penalties. I think too in some games too.
Yeah, little dribbly boy.
Yeah, yep.
We'll
He'll be
always
missed,
remember the
you know.
dribbly boy.
He'll be missed. I don't think this is make much impact on the team. We have AZ coming in. I think he has a much higher ceiling. We have Chambeau that can play a little bit of some of the type of roles that he can play, which I think is also higher quality players. So I think I would like to keep him, but you know what? I don't think it's going to affect our result.
Yeah, but I spent a lot of time on that GIF I made where it says "Hail Matan" and I'm dressed as a black metal guy. Like I had my daughter film that. Like it took me forever to get that paint off.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Dad, why
boy.
you make it wearing all the makeup and paint?
Yeah, well, I didn't realize you're supposed to use like a makeup thing and not your hands. I just caked it on there. It was brutal. All right. Well, before we go to break, the other person I kind of wanted to touch on was Steven Moreira. I wanted to
You always want to touch
congratulate
some people.
that dog. Oh, I'm a touchy boy. We're getting rid of Dribbly Boy, and they're gonna hire me as a touchy boy.
Yeah. But Moreira.
Yeah, Defender of the Year. It's bizarre because I don't view we talked about it earlier. When I think about defender, I think about lockdown defenders, and it's like Moreira was. Like,
A lot of people were hating on it when it was published, like non-crew people, because everybody likes to pick on their own and whatever else. But I think it's a good pick. I mean, I think this is a reward to our defense this year.
Yeah.
The fact that we were so
like
good,
that.
and you couldn't give it to Camacho. I mean, probably up until halfway through the season, Camacho was probably on that list. But let's say like the last fourth of the season, he took himself off that list.
But also, I don't know who won it last year, but like last year, Moreira was, I would argue, almost better. Like he was phenomenal when we got him, and he slotted in with Nazi. It was
Miazga won it last year.
Oh,
Yeah, and then back to back.
I hate
Before
that.
that, it was what's the Nashville guy?
Before that, it was Glesnes, and then 21 and 20 was Zimmerman.
Oh, Glesnes. Look at that in Norwegian. Look at that.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
he
last
won
year,
with
yeah, it was-
13.92% of the player vote, 32.4% of the media vote, and 9.3% of the club vote. Up against
Wild.
Jordi Alba and Jackson Reagan.
Right. Well, I think Defender of the Year, I'm thinking of it like a lockdown defender, but I think it is morphed into something a little bit more moving forward. Jordi Alba, like wing backs, that type of thing. It's a different. We're in a different world, baby. Completely different.
Speaking of a little bit of out of the blue, I was shocked today seeing that Gregerson for Atlanta started for Norway today. Must be the reward for stopping Messi in the last round, because I was like, really? He's on the Norwegian national team? Yeah. Started today.
Well, they played Kazakhstan, which I'm not.
Kazakhstan? Yeah.
Kazakhstan? Which I'm pretty sure is that where Borat's from?
Radio Shakistan.
Okay, well, this is where it's a good
No
time
way.
to take a break. We'll be right, Trap.
Tip of the hat, club. This is Stacy, president and supreme leader of the Upper 90 Run Club, and I have a few important announcements for you. This campaign season, I feel for all the candidates vying for office, and I wish them all the best on election day. I don't like to run for office. I just like to run. Yay! And if you do too, I want you to join the club. It's easy to join, and it's a great way to engage with the crew community while being active. Download the Strava app and search for Upper 90 in groups.
So easy.
Also, grab some swag. My subjects have informed me that the Run Club now has official race kits available for purchase.
That's right.
Go to supportersupply.com and you can find the race kit by searching Upper 90. They look good and they feel great too.
It's a smash hit.
Anyway, I'm gonna hit the bricks, but I can't wait to see everyone in the club soon. My name is Stacy, and I approve this message.
And we're back. Thanks everybody for talking to us. We're back. That was a long break. Let's not talk about any of the stuff we just talked about for 20, 30 minutes of the break. Let's get into.
I miss Dad.
Yeah,
I
it was a
miss
bad
Dad.
job.
He keeps us going.
Well, you sent me down Haas sent me down a rabbit hole because he's just like, oh yeah, I bought tickets to a band called Refuse in New York, and he's like, yeah, I'll go. We'll go together. And then I was like, yeah, let me check and see when it is, and I didn't buy tickets. So like panicking.
We miss Mars. Mars, we miss you.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are doing all right.
He's doing fine. They're doing all the things. He's still bummed about the loss, and I don't blame him.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest with you. I know, obviously, I'm talking about the Mike Tyson loss. He was like pretty bummed about what happened with that.
Big
Did we
Tyson
all
fan.
watch it? Were we texting each other during it? I don't know who I was.
I don't know. I think most of the texting going on with people during that fight was people saying Netflix is not working.
Yeah, man, we got duped again.
was a
We're
fake
all
fight.
suckers. We're all suckers. It's like if Need for Speed went up and said, "I'm gonna play," I try to come up with a really old soccer player right now, Cantona. Right? It's like we're gonna play 1-on-1 against Eric Cantona for United. Come on. It'd be like, oh yeah, we're all gonna like stay up and wait and watch that. No, it's not real sports. Okay?
I mean, it was rigged, right?
No.
I mean,
It's not rigged. It's just not elite sport.
My favorite
It's a
part
58-year
was Drunk Shaq
Did you see the people
calling
saw before
Gronkowski Bronk.
Yeah.
You saw before the fight all the people that Tyson used to fight, how brain damaged they are. They
Oh,
can barely
man.
put together, like, yeah.
I think Lennox Lewis was fine, but it was
Yeah.
Evander Holyfield.
Holyfield was like,
I'm
holy
concerned.
crap.
I legit thought.
Holyfield, holy crap!
Oh man, I thought he was one of the blind piano players. So I thought he was one of those. Oh, I'll probably have to cut that.
Like Stevie Wonder?
Yeah, I thought he was Stevie Wonder. And I was like,
apparently
what's
Stevie Wonder
doing
with
here?
bad hearing.
Yeah, he didn't even. He had no idea he was.
He
was
didn't know
even
where
there.
he was.
No,
and this
absolutely
is the sad
not.
part. And these are the guys that competed against Tyson in his prime.
I mean, if your
And now
job
it's-
was to get punched in the face, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right.
Like, that ain't
Speaking
gonna
about
work.
getting punched in the face.
Yeah. Well, like we talked about earlier, Matt Doyle from MLS Soccer wrote an article. I'd encourage everybody to read it, but kind of wanted to go over he wrote kind of 4 bullet points. Kind of wanted to dive into some of that. Like I said, I reached out to him. He's going to hop on next month at some point during more of a downtime and probably be able to elaborate more on this stuff. But let's just go over kind of what he was talking about. First, the first PowerPoint he kind of put out there was he wrote a pretty move.
So he starts with quoting Eduardo Galeano, and it says, "I go about the world, hand outstretched, and in the stadiums I plead, a pretty move for the love of God. And when good soccer happens, I give thanks for the miracle, and I don't give a damn which team or country performs it."
Yeah, he goes on to kind of recaps some of, what we've done, finishing second, winning the League's Cup, 2 trophies in 2 years, that type of thing. But the overarching thing is just based on eye test, he loved watching the crew play, regardless of the result. And, we get caught up in some of this, going out the first round and, just kind of the season, the players, that type of stuff. But, macro lens, for someone who writes for the MLS day in and day out, he looks at it and goes, this is, he goes in, I think he ends up saying this is the best team to watch that I've ever watched from the MLS.
Well, you hear that from every pundit that talks about this team is been a beaut. And we've been there and watched it, and it's amazing when they turn it on.
But he
But
also
at-
talks about how it's unfortunate that it's just going to be forgotten because the elimination out of the playoffs, not winning
Right.
CCC.
And I think he's kind of foreseeing the fact that being a quote smaller market team, that probably some of the pieces of the success is going to probably move on. We're talking about Nancy, we're talking about Cucho, but it also talks about how if looking forward, if we are making another move, because we do have, when it comes to it, we do have an open spot for a DP, that maybe we just need one more Cucho level type of player, and this team could be even something more special, right? They're talking about the Victor Vasquez for Toronto FC back in the day, that they added them in to be kind of the difference maker for them to take that further step.
So, I mean, kind of back to the overarching thing about Doyle's article, though, is what does it all mean? You know, like, we competed in all these tournaments. Yeah, we had a beautiful style. Yeah, we did it with academy products and DPs, and we're a small market team and all this. What does it mean at the end of the day, though? Because we didn't win a championship, we didn't win Supporter Shield, we
This season,
didn't win CCC. Like,
Yeah, and his second bullet point talks about that. The second bullet point is entitled "A Season So Close," in which he goes on and says, this is probably the best team he's seen in the MLS. Because I think we argued, even when Mort and I were at the bar with Dukes and some of the old players, and they were just like, people were like, oh, hey, who's the best team? And we're like, well, you didn't win the Supporter Shield and the Cup.
right.
But I said it's a very different league, and then it comes into
it's like semantics and stuff like that. But the thing that Doyle kind of touched on that I thought was interesting, he said, regardless of the results, obviously this season, when you look at it, like, we took second and, 2 of the 3 cups we were going for. We only really won 1 trophy, and we got knocked out of the first round. So, so close as far as
it's okay. We only won 1 trophy. How many teams in the season wins a trophy?
Which trophy are you counting? Okay, that's fine.
League's Cup. Yeah.
No, I didn't. Yeah, that's fine.
Which I think it's not a bad trophy.
There are worse trophies. Campeones Cup. But he did say this is the best team he's seen as far as objectively just watching the team play over the course of the entire year. He's seen all the teams. Like, I think he wrote a write-up for all the teams. I don't know if he's done it every single team already. I'm pretty sure he's wrote most of them that aren't still active. But I think that's the argument that I really like, is like, man, after watching soccer since all of us watching MLS for, at least a decade or more, this was the best team I've seen in the MLS. Watching them, eye test wise, I can say I think this team was better than 2008, even though they didn't win the awards they did.
More teams, higher level of competition. Not to even talk about this year. This is the funny thing about this year. We fell short, but this season, in many ways, was much better than last season. Last season wasn't good until we got into like the later part
after
of the
Leagues
season.
Cup.
And after Leagues Cup and going into the playoffs, where we played away, because our season was kind of like, we win again, we lose again. We were kind of looking brilliant, and then we looked awful, and let an elite goal. This year, we were an elite team from start to finish, playing Wednesday, Saturday, how many times, right? It's almost haven't been done to this level before. I mean, we talked about maybe LAFC had a season like last year, which was very high level, making the obviously MLS Cup final and a couple of finals, and playing as many games as we might have, could have, probably should have. But I mean, this year has been insane for a Crew fan and for anybody following the team and enjoying what's been happening in MLS, because the way they play, the success they had at the same time. One thing is like, they have these teams. We have Ben, you're a Tottenham fan. You have a coach that's like, I'm going to go out and play like wild style and offensive and all this crazy stuff, but it doesn't work out very often, right?
You know what I'm saying?
No, you
So,
know what I'm saying, but
he
this
said
team-
yes.
Yeah, he said yes. And for
We'll
this
beat
team,
Man
for the
City,
most
no
part,
problem. We'll lose to Luton Town,
Yeah.
no problem.
For this team, second in the league, second in the C3, won the league's cup. I mean, playing a very positive type of soccer that people just fall in love with. And
I don't disagree with that. And their style is probably the most important thing out of any of this. They're the best team to watch.
Yes.
But when it comes down to like what does this season actually mean? I'm sorry, this season is behind 2008. This season is behind 2023. This season is behind a lot of. There's probably 3 or 4 other seasons. I don't know. Okay, it's third on the list to me, and it's behind.
Yeah, you're right, because there's 3 or 4 teams that won both the Supporter Shield and the Cup same year.
Right.
So it's like
I disagree.
that argument doesn't really.
I disagree.
I put 08 way better than this. 09 was probably even a better season. They just didn't win it, so it's the same scenario. So I this has been the best season to watch as a Crew fan. 100%.
Let me put it like this: if we had gone deeper into the playoffs, and said we went to the MLS Cup or whatever, I don't think there's any debate that this is the best season that Columbus Crew has ever had.
Yeah.
Oh, I would be debating it for sure.
Why?
Because you have a season where you were second in a lot of things.
Against who?
Well, in Campione's Cup, in CCC,
Campione's Cup is not turned.
And
Come on,
Supporter Shield.
CCC, we beat.
No,
we beat
I'm
three
just saying,
Mexican
like,
teams away.
Listen, if you're going to hype up the fact that
and lost it away at like 8,000 feet, we won the Nations League against like everybody in Mexico, North America.
If you're going to say that the reason we were in these tournaments were the best, I'm going to say the reason why I don't think this was the best year is just the fact that we didn't win any of it.
But
League's Cup is like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like a massive deal.
When Messi won it, they made it sound like he won the World Cup.
Yeah, they shot him into space.
Yeah. But you see where I'm going is the fact that team back in the day, like they're saying, oh, when we went to Mexico, we had to fly,
Sure.
Commercial and all that stuff and all those things. But we went in and put Mexican teams in place in their house. Can you remember how high we were in May when it comes to how we were playing? The level we were playing in May has never been seen by any MLS team before in history. I go by far with that we were heads above any other team in MLS by a mile the way we were performing in
except
May.
for Miami. Miami definitely had the points lead at that point in time in MLS.
Because we were doing what? We were playing Crew 2 players away.
No, they had played like 6 more games than we had at that point.
Yeah. But you see what I mean? The level we hit. You can see
I don't disagree. This has been the most
MLS
fun
team ever have had. I will argue that to the
possibly. But when it comes down to what does the season mean, that's what it means. It doesn't mean it was the best or holds any special place in my heart. It's just a really good season. Remember?
Oh, yeah, it holds a special part of my heart.
Yeah, like when Ohio State finally beats Michigan, and then they go play Michigan State, or they play Michigan State, lose to Plaxico Burress catching in the end zone, and then we go play Michigan and we beat them for the first time in 12 years. But the season doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I think
it means something because Nancy is here, because Issa. I mean, think about the number of changes we had this season.
Well, let's go ahead and think about that. So Doyle's third topic here was turn and face the strange.
Oh, I'm into that.
Okay. Well, that caught me way off guard. And I love how that caught me. I'm proud of you. Yeah. All right. Well, so turn and face is
Wait,
strange.
hold on. Philosophically, is it still strange if you're facing it though?
Yeah, it's always strange.
can
Then
be.
it's familiar.
It's from Venus or Mars or whatever. I don't know. So basically, what he's saying here is, when you look back at this season specifically, there was a lot of really bizarre stuff that happened. Like we lost Aiden Morris, who was, like the heart and soul of the middle of the field. We lost Bezbachenko, who brought all this change in that has, completely revamped us. Like he left, and we still were able to, move on. Like we had the Aiden move, we had the Bez move, and we were able to add. I think he said like 5 players during the season, as well as bring up people from the academy. So it was a weird season in the sense that, it wasn't, when you look at where we were at the beginning of the season and the end of the season, it felt like it was the exact same thing. I was like, yeah, this whole season, because the beginning of last season was very bizarre in the beginning because we had like, Quentin playing, we had like, bizarro team lineups. It felt like this season we were locked in, but when you actually look at it, we weren't that locked in from start to finish. Like we did, like we had, remember Hinestroza, like we got in DeJuan Jones, we brought in Shambo, Matan moved around, it was just a totally different.
I think the acquisitions we made were the right ones, but to this article's point, is the fact that we need to bring in one more key player. If assuming let's assume everybody's coming back. Nancy's come back, Kucho's come back,
Except Matan.
Except Matan, yes. But if we bring in one more quality player, I mean, like LA is going to bring in Griezmann. For crying
Which
out
is
loud.
crazy.
Yeah.
And
for the
Marco Royce.
And
for the people that don't know these players are still phenomenal.
Yeah. Griezmann would play for France if he didn't say that he didn't want to play for France anymore.
Don't we get the extra DP spot as well?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So Nagby will open up a DP spot. We have a U22. We have like 3 spots because I don't think Hinestrosa is going to come back.
Yeah, it'd be hard pressed.
No way.
Yeah. So, part of this turn and face is strange that he was talking about was, like you just said, the crew have at minimum, we have 2 U22 slots that we can use. 3 if we part ways with Hinestrosa, like you just said. We can possibly have another DP signature if we're able to buy Nagby down. And then he also put in here, there's 5 players that he chose that we could build our team around. And I thought these were kind of interesting. One was Cucho, which I think we can all agree, if he stays, that is something that we should invest in. Like,
yes,
if he's gonna stay, pay that dude his money, and let's build a team around what that guy can do.
Well, and he's under contract, right?
This is but
it's not a contract issue.
This is an MLS statement point because this goes to the ownership. It goes to what the leagues wants to do. If we get some pressure on people buying him and the Haslams go back and say, like, you know what, I'm gonna make it $10 million. He's gonna make a year. This is MLS and ownership started making a statement saying, like, this league is for real. And we're going to keep some of the talent. We're going to be willing to pay for the high-level talents to stay here to build this league and make this an attractive place to be. Because you know what? We're getting World Cup coming here. We're getting after the league. You normally get like a boost from hosting a World Cup and all that stuff. And I think MLS ownership and understand the marketability of this league, it could be pretty huge. I don't see any reason why MLS a couple of years from now below, like, yes, English Premier League, this La Liga and the Bundesliga and maybe the Italian league. There's no reason why this shouldn't be the next kind of big league for people to go to.
I mean, it's enticing, like I talked about earlier, the Griezmann thing where he has stated since he was like
he
a
loves the
baby.
States.
He's like, I want to go to
He's
the
like
United
Harry
States.
Kane.
Yeah, Harry Kane loves the United States. He loves American culture. People want to come here. They don't want to go play in, the Portuguese league or something like that. Like they want to come play in the MLS if it's not the top 5.
Back to the list. Yeah, Cucho, let's retain him. The next one was Diego Rossi.
Well, and he wants to stay, is what I've heard. I mean,
Yeah,
there's been quotes of him saying he likes.
It's nice to be the big fish, right?
I just wonder. So if I'm sitting there on the Haslams and I'm looking at just money because that's what I do as an owner, you've got a guy you're paying like $3 million who wants probably 20 or 15 or 20, and you've got a guy you can sell for and make that much money. Why wouldn't you just be like, yeah? I mean, I'm selling out the stadium every week anyway, right? We didn't miss a single week that don't.
And you've got a
regular
rapist you're
season.
paying.
No, I don't get it. I don't think he's asking for 20 million. Nobody's making 20 million unless you're Messi and
Yeah. Sure,
like even
sure.
Power Cube made what 20, and he like something like that. He had less than that.
Yeah.
But I think he wants to go from like being number 2 because he's number 2 after Rossi. He's not the best paid player on the team. Rossi is. So make him the best paid player. Make him like the 4th best player in the league. Pay him $8 million a year.
It will be a very telling thing what they end up doing with, and we'll talk about the Issa comments here in a second, but it'll be very telling about our ownership once we realize what they do with the Cucho Hernandez stuff. I think
obviously, I mentioned
big.
Diego Rossi. We keep him. Dude, all
right, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah,
but like, I have an issue with a lot of this stuff. So Cucho, if he stays, we build a team around him. If he leaves and we have Rossi, you don't build a team around.
No, I don't agree.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with that. You don't build a team without, but you build a team without both of them because he has scored some big goals this year.
Yeah,
and he's
without Cucho.
And without Cucho. And usually when Cucho was gone, he stepped up and was the main guy.
Yeah,
right?
it's so weird. It's so weird thinking about when he was out for, was it CCC or was it Leagues Cup when he was out?
A little bit of both, I think.
Yeah, whenever he was injured, it was like Diego
and,
came in
and unfortunately his back issues and stuff was probably one of the parts of our offense and our team that didn't quite gel in the playoff.
But you don't build a team around. Yeah. I feel crazy saying that because he's like a multi-million-dollar striker for our team. But like, if I just had him, I don't know who I would quote unquote build a team around.
How old is Steven Moreira? Because this is the next guy they had.
The next guy is no way he's 32. Someone look that up.
I am.
Someone Swiss cow that bad boy. I feel like he's late 20s.
Swiss cow says he is 30.
30 years. Yep.
30?
Yep. He's going to be 31 next year. So we got a
Well,
couple.
yeah, of course. If he's 30 this year, he's going to be 31 next year.
I am a genius.
He could still be 31 this year, maybe.
Holy
depending
crap.
on when his birthday is.
You shut your mouth.
But defender of the year, he is an athletic beast.
Yeah,
he can play anywhere on the field. To be honest,
I don't know, at 30.
He played a full 90 for Cape Verde on Friday.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
are we arguing? Or are we discussing like who you would actually build around, or are we saying that we're just so lucky to have 5 players that we can build around?
Yeah, the article's a little funky like that, but because they said Darlington Nagbe is a key guy, but you need to give him rest.
Yeah,
that's not what to build a team around. It would be like manage Nagbe's numbers.
Morton hates Darlington Nagbe.
Don't need to write it down. It's in a tattoo.
It's on your bingo card, everybody. There it is.
It's the free space.
Why do you always say this?
Because of the past.
I don't say it, Morton. You do.
You're dressed as a hot dog. Who could have done this? No, but for real, like
the manager's minutes.
Okay, so Morton, if you think Nagbe's not coming back,
Nagbe is coming back.
Yeah. Is there such thing as a player?
And I'd be crying. He's my favorite player. You guys.
All right, I'm writing down.
So,
he
with his
hates
early
Nagby.
retirement, what do you think he's going to be doing?
He's gonna watch his kids play in my kids' league. That's what I know.
I mean, I still think you take his.
He will be here to retirement. He won't go
ma'am,
anywhere. You start paying him
he-
200,000
Give me
next year,
him as
you
an
probably
assistant
pay
coach.
here. He will play here next year.
Give me him as like
he
a player.
needs rest.
Yes.
He can't play 54 games or
Yeah.
whatever we were projected to play.
I have
year.
this, so, and I don't know this, and I don't think anybody on the podcast actually knows this, but Aiden's huge step up from where like he was academy days to where he is now is, they talked about him studying tape of Darlington, sitting down with him, going over notes on like how he's supposed to play and like how Darlington plays. I just have this vision in my head where he goes, here's how I see the game. And he makes these players epically better. Like Zawadzki. If Zawadzki was like, hey man,
yes.
let me like under your tutelage, let me like learn from you. He could be unbelievably great.
Zawadzki will be playing for Next Pro and suddenly playing for the U.S. national team.
Oh yeah,
and I swear that would not happen if Nagby was not there.
Yeah, I just there's a world where I'm like he does like a player coach thing, or he just goes hey and he sticks around with the crew and he takes that like holding midfield position and just like creates player after player after player who just dominate in that position. That's my hope. That's like what I think.
The last player they have on here is Patrick Schulte. And the question is obviously, unless he gets sold off, I think the best thing for us, the fact that we have a very, very good second goalkeeper, because I think Patrick Schulte will go. It might not be this year. It might not be before, maybe summer, maybe the year after. But at some point, he will definitely move on. But the good thing is, I think with Hagen, we're in a good spot of somebody taking over there because he is a very high quality goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, my worry is that he's Schulte sticks around for another year, and does well enough to get sold on. Hagen leaves, and we have. I mean, Stas Lapkus though. Watching him and Crew 2, he is legit. That guy's great. I think he's probably only 18 or 19 or something like that.
Yep.
I don't know, man. Towards the end of the season, obviously this is under his
apparently
5 players
there's another
to build
kid
around.
There's another kid in the academy which is they say is the next Schulte.
Great.
Which is a unbelievable goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He's even younger.
But like I said, that last game I was at Crew Stadium, man, I was not terribly stoked with how he played, how his feet and stuff like that. But that's neither here nor there. He also goes on to talk about, Arvston, what that's going to look like in the offseason, him getting probably better and starting a season with more confidence. Same thing with Zawadzki. And also same thing with Taha Habrun. Like we forget about Taha. When that guy got subbed in, again, small sample size, absolutely means nothing. But he was really good. I don't know exactly where he sits.
He is right there on the verge now. This is next year going to be a big season for him.
But I mean, think about it. Like, if he's an Arvston spot, like Max was like, who really cared? We had, the goal scorer in Yaboa. We're like, yeah, he'll be our man next year. And then he barely plays, and he's like third in line behind DeJuan Jones and Max. Like that's bananas.
Yeah,
like,
it is bananas. How much can change in a year?
Which I think the most important thing that he didn't put in here that we need to build a team around is Nancy. Like, I think first and foremost it'd be, and he does mention here that like right now in League One in France, there's like a super high discrepancy in like the first couple of teams and like the rest. It's kind of like Germany where it's like, oh, there's Bayern, maybe Leipzig. I don't even think Dortmund's doing that well. And then it's just like it would be a step down to coach any other team.
PSG has won how many of their last
years? PSG is obviously the most egregious of all of them. So unless he gets a job coaching like Lyon or like one of the big teams over there, like it wouldn't benefit him to go over there. That being said, let's get into that article from the Columbus Dispatch that came out a couple days ago. All right, the Issa interview. I actually pulled this from Reddit. I know Haas actually read. He actually subscribes to the Columbus Dispatch. I'm just gonna touch on it. Crunch 18 on Reddit says a lot of interesting comments about the entire roster, but these quotes on Cucho were especially interesting. Quote, I don't know because we haven't gone into those details with agents concerning Cucho, and this is Issa Tall speaking. So everything is subjective between what you think is not big and what I think is not big. I don't like that sentence. He goes on by saying, I'm going to speak highly about Cucho today and for the years to come, but there is no one that's above the club.
Yeah.
Gross. Meaning we are not in a position whereby one player, if he's gone, we're like all of a sudden, oh, what happens to us now? I trust in the people here the same way I did in the past. When Zardes left and it's like, oh, what now? People were thinking maybe like that.
Not the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Or when Jonah, which is Jonathan Mensah, left, same deal. When Lucas left, same deal.
Yeah,
Although I will say when Lucas left, we were all like,
yeah,
oh,
what
crap.
the hell? Yeah.
So if Cucho were to leave, which I'm not saying this is the case, waka waka, I'm confident in what we have here to find somebody to now take over. If Cucho is here to stay, that's great.
Okay, so full transparency, I didn't read this article. Haas, did you actually read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Did you say waka waka, by the way?
Yeah, I was hoping no one would bring that up. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
What was your take on the tone of the rest of the article?
I mean, it's just so much unknown. They haven't started discussions with players. There's a lot of unknown. There's the Dispatch people pointed out there are 8 players with club options currently, not including Herrera, who's on loan.
Henestroza?
No, Herrera.
No, Henestroza is loan from us. Yeah.
It wasn't a question.
Yeah,
he was saying who is on loan.
But it seemed like he was pretty vague with a lot of it. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, but it's
puff piece.
But also cool. I mean, it's a good interview, and I think there just needs to be like a follow-up piece when things are happening.
Yeah.
So part of me wants to be like, no, you sign him. He's our best player. He's one of the best players in club history. You sign him, the fan in me. The other part of me goes, I like this mentality. Next man up.
Yeah.
We're going to go out and find other DPs if he doesn't want to be here. The club is the most important thing.
It feels like that's a Bez thing, like a underlying.
Well, we talking about
Bez,
somebody
like,
went with Bez for how many years? So it is a Bez is going to be
He's a disciple.
Not very different.
There's also a good amount of talk about how the Crew does not want to be one of the clubs that spends the most in the league. They want to continue on the trend that they've been on, middle of the pack. They're able to make things work without spending a ton of money.
But they don't have that money. Man.
Yeah, but let's be real.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have to because for the big names, if you're not New York, if you're not LA, if you're not in the sunny state of Florida or some beautiful place, you're not going to
Florida is not beautiful. Just saying.
Well, if you want to live in Miami, all Argentinians and a lot of other people would love to live there.
Miami's dope. Orlando, not so much.
So my point is that you don't really have that problem because you will never really you truly attract the biggest of the names.
Yeah, Griezmann
wasn't be like, hey, how's Ohio this time of year? It's like, no.
You know what I heard is tight? Minnesota. St. Paul, here I come.
Yes.
Like, not happening.
Yeah. So there's teams worse positioned than us.
Yeah.
Like Minnesota.
But I mean, you don't need that type of thing to succeed. I think
if you keep Nancy and a good vibe and playing for like a fantastic coach,
people want to
yes, you can drag in some serious talent.
Yeah, and I think it's there was an interview I want to point out with Tom and Dave over at Soccer Wise where they interviewed DeJuan Jones. And it was kind of interesting on how the league worked and, his transition from New England to Columbus. Like he didn't even know. He got a call during a 4-day break, and they're like, "Yo, you're going to Columbus when you get back," because he was in Chicago. It's like, oh, wild. But he did say that they're like, well, what's the difference between like playing and you've played for all these people and yada yada yada. Like, what's the difference playing in for Columbus? And he's like, well, when I came to Columbus, the vibe was very much like it was. He's like, first of all, we had way less meetings. Like, I guess a lot of teams have a lot of meetings where they don't play, they get together, they talk a lot about like the other team. He's like, we almost never talked about the other team. We were only concerned about what we were doing. And I was like, well, that makes me feel super warm and fuzzy and like exactly what I thought about with Nazi. So, you know, you've got a guy that I'm going to go play for this club who plays super attractive soccer, you know, is a high world profile. Like you can get these guys for, you know, right around $1 million that play for Colombia or play for Argentina or something like that, that maybe aren't the big names, but that can come over in their prime around 24, 25, and like Cucho and dominate and take it to that next level. I prefer that as opposed to being like, cool, we got Zlatan. He'll play like 1 out of 10 games. There you go. I don't know. Yeah, so I guess that makes a lot of sense that, you know, Issa says that stuff. It's gonna be interesting off season with who stays, who goes, and kind of what we choose to do. Me personally, if it's Cucho that goes, I'll be less worried, I guess. But if Nazi were to get poached, I'd be worried about who's going to fill those shoes.
Yeah.
In the article, Issa does say that they're essentially trying to bring back the majority of the roster. There are few people that he knows that they're not trying to bring back. And with Matan already announcing his, it should be interesting.
Yeah. Lots to talk about.
But I think and let's say they do end up bringing back a lot of the people. That also speaks to the culture here and also speaks to playing for Nazi. Like you heard, we could even talk about right now, like you heard Acosta come out for Cincinnati and be like, I think I'm done here. Anybody else hear that?
Yes.
No.
It's
right after they knocked out, he says, I think I'm done.
Yeah, it was on Call It What You Want To. He did that, and then they had a media day, and he called in and said, hey, I'm not going to be able to do media day. But then that day went on an Argentinian radio station, so did media in Argentina, and he's just like, I want to come back to Boca. And it's like, okay, cool. So, I mean...
just have the crew sign him. That'd be funny.
Yeah, I mean, what would you guys think about that?
Oh, dude!
I would take if
I would
Cucho,
100% take him. He's 100%
100%
the only reason why Cincinnati has been as good as they have been. It's not the coaching; it's the fact that he's pulling stuff out of his fucking back pocket. Sorry, language, out of his back pocket. Like he's doing ridiculous stuff.
So you were joking around, and you're like, "Yeah, I took New York City FC over Cincy." So did I. I legit thought that was going to happen. I did not think Cincy was going to make it past.
Cincy has been on it. No, they have not been good. They've been actually very poor as of late, and since and City has been hitting it high. And no, I think they're soft. They have a soft belly.
Yeah. Speaking of soft belly, I got a soft belly. I got to go on a diet. We should talk about diets. All right. Well, on that note, is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? Does anybody have any things they're worried about or like
Run Club? Everybody ran. Good stuff. Keep it up.
I don't have it up here.
Numbers. I'm sure they were down because things are getting like colder outside. But you know what? This is a time of year where it's easy to make excuses. Let's get outside, walk that dog, run some laps.
Gotta walk that dog.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully I'm going to try to get new shoes tomorrow. I think, how many did you guys all have last week? I think I had about 20.
I had like 5.
Yeah.
0.75.
I actually did activity on Friday night, playing soccer with everybody, and forgot my watch at work, so I didn't track anything.
And I
Yeah,
forgot my watch at home on the charger.
I used mine for our soccer game. I only ran I didn't run.
Yeah,
that-
you
I
ran.
didn't
If
run
you
that
ran,
much.
We're not
Well, that's
sure.
because you were
Mile up
standing
top.
up front, just waving your arms around with your arms folded.
Wavy,
whatever
wacky,
poses you were doing.
inflatable.
That ball's 10 feet from me.
You guys would play me the ball and I would do nothing with it. I'd be like,
We know. We saw you.
Yeah. What was that the whole Mbappe thing where you put your hands in your armpits and you didn't want to take the
He was
ball?
so mad at Snake for no reason.
Ooh,
You.
He kept us in that game.
no, I didn't.
Oh, Snake.
He played like 2 balls to you at the end of the game, and you literally looked at him with your arms up and were like, I can't get to that.
Hey, speaking of which,
I didn't do
Bill-
that. That never happened.
who would you build your team around? I built my
Snake.
team around Snake.
I would 100% build my team around Snake.
Shout out to the dude at the bar that came up and talked to us after the fact.
Oh,
I don't
yes.
recall your name. I
I'm
apologize.
sorry. We
But-
were a drink or two in, and please, you know where to find us. We'll see you next Friday, and next time.
Well, actually, we won't see you
remember.
for another month, but yeah.
Yeah, we got buys and then Thanksgiving, and
Yeah.
Seriously?
but
Yeah. But turkey trot, man. Turkey trots are coming around. Get them going. We'll do, I think we'll have one next week. So we'll do one prior to proper turkey trot. I'll try to think of something for the club's turkey trot. I do worry that when people play our team in indoor, like last game, we're kind of mean to people because of the game. But
We weren't
we're
mean.
super nice.
competitive nature.
Promise not to play that hard. It's all right.
Well,
No.
don't hurt this guy that is twice your age, please. Thank you.
yeah.
If
They
you're
were nice to
listening.
me, but they also were like, your mustache looks crazy. It's like,
They
yeah.
also
Yes, it does.
kicked into our keeper a couple times.
Yeah. And Haas got hurt. Haas kicked his shoe.
Cleats.
Well,
Cleats on shin.
Well, we will talk more
Shinny.
about that next week. Probably not because we're not playing for a long time. But until then,
I love you.
Where's the garlic bread?
Thanks everyone for joining the club. We hope you'll listen next week and every week, even in the off season, to celebrate or commiserate. We'll save you a seat. If you like this podcast, please give us 5 stars and subscribe. You can email us at upper90clubpod@gmail.com. That's upper90clubpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at upper90clubpod. Go Crew!
It's like rolling a joint down there.
And delete the recording.
You